Some of the world's most popular tourist destinations have warning signs, waivers, and death counts that visitors often ignore in pursuit of the perfect photo. From volcanoes with bubbling lava to trails so narrow that one wrong step means certain death. These aren't just adventures, they're brushes with danger that people actually pay to experience. Today, we're counting down the 20 most dangerous tourist attractions on Earth that have claimed real lives, yet still draw crowds eager to test their luck. Would you risk everything for a view or thrill that most people will never have? 20. Preikestolen, Pulpit Rock, Norway. Towering nearly 2,000 feet above the stunning Lysefjord in Norway, Pulpit Rock is a flat mountain plateau about the size of a basketball court with no safety railings whatsoever. The massive cliff face was formed by ice expanding in mountain cracks some 10,000 years ago. And while it looks sturdy, geologists warn that the entire structure will eventually collapse into the fjord below. Despite visible cracks that grow larger each year, over 300,000 tourists make the challenging 2-hour hike annually to stand at the edge and peer into the abyss. What makes Pulpit Rock particularly dangerous isn't just the height. It's the unpredictable weather that can change in minutes. Thick fog can roll in suddenly, reducing visibility to near zero, while making the rock surface slippery. Several tourists have died here, most from deliberately going too close to the edge for photos, with some deaths ruled suicides. Norwegian officials have repeatedly rejected proposals for safety railings, stating they would ruin the natural experience and create a false sense of security. 19. The Maze, Canyonlands National Park, USA. The Maze isn't just considered the most dangerous section of Utah's Canyonlands National Park. Park rangers call it the most remote and inaccessible area in the entire United States. This labyrinth of deep, narrow passages carved from red sandstone requires serious off-road driving just to reach its entrance, followed by difficult hiking through a disorienting network of identical-looking canyons. Cell service is non-existent. Temperatures regularly exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit in summer. Water sources are scarce, and rescues can take up to 3 days due to the extreme isolation. Interestingly, despite its reputation, no deaths have been recorded in the maze itself, likely because its difficulty deters all but the most prepared adventurers. Park rangers attribute this safety record to the fact that only about 2,000 people visit per year, and most are experienced backcountry hikers who bring sufficient water and navigation tools. The real danger comes from flash floods that can fill narrow slots with deadly water walls within minutes, rockfalls from the unstable canyon walls, and the very real possibility of becoming hopelessly lost in a place where helicopters often can't land and vehicles can't enter. 18. Stromboli Volcano, Italy. Often called the lighthouse of the Mediterranean, Stromboli is one of the few volcanoes on Earth in almost continuous eruption for over 2,000 years. This island volcano off Sicily's coast gives tourists the rare opportunity to witness actual eruptions, with small explosions of lava occurring every 15 to 20 minutes. While guided hikes to the summit have been a popular attraction for decades, the volcano's behavior remains wildly unpredictable, with major eruptions in 2019 killing one hiker and causing tourists to flee into the sea as volcanic material rained down. The 3-hour climb to Stromboli's 3,000-foot summit is physically demanding, with loose volcanic gravel making it easy to slip on steep slopes. Toxic gases pose another hidden danger, as sulfur dioxide and other volcanic fumes can concentrate in pockets that can asphyxiate hikers, especially when winds shift unexpectedly. After dark, the mountain becomes even more treacherous, though the glowing eruptions visible at night lure many to take the risk. Italian authorities frequently close access during periods of increased activity, yet many visitors ignore these restrictions, sometimes with fatal consequences. 17th. Volcano boarding, Cerro Negro, Nicaragua. Cerro Negro, a young and highly active volcano in western Nicaragua, has become the unlikely birthplace of an extreme sport found nowhere else on Earth: volcano boarding. Thrill seekers hike up the steep black slopes of this 2,388-foot-high volcano, carrying wooden sleds or modified snowboards, then hurtle down its side at speeds reaching 60 miles per hour. The volcanic ash provides just enough friction to maintain some control, but not enough to prevent frequent injuries from falls onto the abrasive surface, which can strip away skin like sandpaper. What makes this even more dangerous is that Cerro Negro isn't dormant. It's one of the most active volcanoes in Central America, with over 20 eruptions since its formation in 1850. Despite protective jumpsuits and goggles provided by tour operators, emergency evacuations for broken bones, concussions, and severe abrasions are common. The volcano's remoteness means help can be hours away, and the unstable terrain makes helicopter landings difficult. Scientists monitoring the volcano's activity have expressed concern that vibrations from thousands of boarders could potentially trigger small landslides or even affect volcanic stability. Nevertheless, approximately 10,000 tourists attempt the ride annually, despite warnings about the volcano's unpredictable nature and the fact that it's overdue for another eruption based on its historical patterns. 16. Mont Blanc, France, Italy. Standing at 15,774 feet, Mont Blanc is Western Europe's highest mountain and attracts over 20,000 climbers annually, despite having one of the highest death tolls of any mountain outside the Himalayas. An estimated 100 people die on its slopes each year, earning certain routes nicknames like the Corridor of Death. The mountain's relatively easy access from nearby towns gives inexperienced climbers a false sense of security, with many attempting the summit without proper equipment, acclimatization, or understanding of rapidly changing alpine weather conditions. What makes Mont Blanc particularly deadly is its combination of objective hazards: frequent avalanches, hidden crevasses, sudden storms, and rockfalls loosened by melting permafrost due to climate change. The mountain's popularity creates additional dangers, with overcrowding on narrow ridges leading to fatal falls and climbing parties triggering avalanches that bury those below. Local authorities have repeatedly tried to implement permit systems and mandatory guide requirements, but the mountain spans two countries with different regulations, making consistent enforcement difficult. Despite prominent warning signs listing recent fatalities, the allure of standing atop Western Europe continues to draw climbers of all experience levels to this beautiful but deadly peak. 15. Skellig Michael, Ireland. Rising dramatically from the Atlantic Ocean 7 miles off Ireland's coast, Skellig Michael hosts the remarkably preserved ruins of a 6th century monastery built on a craggy, windswept island that seems designed to repel human habitation. To reach the ancient stone structures, visitors must first endure a notoriously rough boat journey through unpredictable seas that frequently causes seasickness and occasionally results in boats being unable to dock at the island's small, wave-battered landing area. Then comes the real challenge: climbing 618 ancient, uneven stone steps with no handrails, often slick with sea spray and bird droppings, with sheer 700-foot drops to the churning ocean below. Since opening to tourism, at least 5 visitors have died on Skellig Michael, mostly from falls along the precarious stairway that zigzags up the cliff face. The island's extreme isolation means emergency medical help is hours away, and evacuations often impossible in bad weather. Irish heritage authorities have resisted adding modern safety features to preserve the site's UNESCO World Heritage status and authentic medieval character. The island's popularity soared after appearing in recent Star Wars films, leading to increased visitor numbers despite strict daily limits. Conservation concerns about damage to both the fragile ecosystem and ancient structures may eventually lead to further restrictions or closure to protect this remarkable but dangerous historical treasure. 14. Trift Bridge, Switzerland. Suspended 328 feet above the Trift Glacier Valley in the Swiss Alps, The Trift Bridge stretches 558 feet across a deep gorge, making it one of the most spectacular pedestrian suspension bridges in the world. Originally built in 2004 to allow workers access to a hydroelectric plant after the glacier receded, this narrow bridge sways and bounces with each step, causing many visitors to freeze partway across or crawl on hands and knees. The bridge's mesh sides offer little psychological comfort when looking down at the dizzying drop to the glacial lake below, and its thin cables and wooden walkway appear worryingly delicate against the massive alpine landscape. What makes the experience even more challenging is that reaching the bridge requires a steep 2-hour hike or cable car ride, followed by another hike along exposed mountain trails. Strong valley winds can cause the bridge to swing alarmingly, and sudden alpine storms create dangerous conditions with wet, slippery footing. While the bridge itself is engineered to be structurally sound, several hikers have suffered injuries on the trails leading to it, and panic attacks mid-bridge are common enough that guides sometimes need to help terrified tourists complete the crossing. Climate change adds another danger, as the retreating glacier has increased the risk of rockfalls and landslides in the area, occasionally forcing closures of access routes. 13th Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, Ukraine. The site of the world's worst nuclear disaster now draws over 60,000 tourists annually to explore its haunting abandoned buildings and mysterious forests. While radiation levels have decreased significantly since the 1986 reactor explosion, hotspots of dangerous radioactivity still exist throughout the 1,000 square mile exclusion zone. Tour companies provide dosimeters and strict rules. Don't touch anything. Don't sit on the ground, don't eat outside, and stay with your guide at all times. Despite these precautions, visitors receive radiation exposure equivalent to a long-haul flight during a single-day tour, with potential for much higher doses if rules aren't followed. Beyond radiation, the zone's crumbling Soviet-era buildings present serious physical dangers, with collapsing floors, falling debris, and structurally unsound staircases. Wildlife has reclaimed the area, bringing risks from wolves, bears, and packs of feral dogs descended from abandoned pets. Despite the dangers, illegal trespassers known as stalkers regularly sneak into restricted areas beyond the tourist routes, sometimes spending days exploring highly contaminated sites or even looting radioactive artifacts. The greatest concern for scientists isn't short-term exposure, but the possibility of tourists inadvertently carrying radioactive particles on shoes or clothing back to their homes, potentially creating long-term health risks far beyond Chernobyl's borders. 12th, Half Dome, Yosemite National Park, USA. Rising nearly 5,000 feet above Yosemite Valley, Half Dome's distinctive rounded face and sheer granite walls make it one of America's most recognizable natural landmarks and most dangerous day hikes. The final 400 feet of the 14 to 16 mile round-trip trek requires pulling yourself up cables anchored into the rock at a 45-degree angle, with wooden slats providing temporary footing as you climb what amounts to a primitive ladder up the side of the dome. Even experienced hikers describe this section as terrifying, especially when afternoon thunderstorms create slick conditions on the polished granite, or when traffic jams form with exhausted hikers trying to ascend and descend on the same cables. Since 1919, at least 20 people have died on Half Dome itself, not including the dozens who have perished on trails leading to it, mostly from falls during the cable section or from being struck by lightning on the exposed summit. The physical demands of the hike are often underestimated. The round trip requires 12 to 16 hours of strenuous hiking with 4,800 feet of elevation gain, leading many to attempt their descent in darkness when too exhausted to safely navigate. Park rangers implemented a permit system to reduce overcrowding, but this has created a new problem. Permit holders sometimes attempt the climb in dangerous weather rather than waste their hard-to-get reservation, leading to multiple rescues each season. The cables themselves are removed each winter, But this doesn't stop some climbers who attempt the now technical route without proper climbing gear, sometimes with fatal consequences. 11th Danakil Depression, Ethiopia. Often described as the gateway to hell, Ethiopia's Danakil Depression holds the distinction of being simultaneously one of the hottest, lowest, and most geologically active places on Earth. This surreal landscape lies more than 400 feet below sea level and features acid pools that can dissolve human flesh, toxic chlorine and sulfur gases that can cause respiratory failure, and ground so hot it can melt the soles of shoes. Daytime temperatures regularly exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit, with virtually no rainfall to provide relief from the brutal conditions. Despite these extremes, a growing number of tourists visit each year, drawn by otherworldly salt formations and neon-colored hot springs that resemble landscapes from alien planets. Beyond natural hazards, the Danakil Depression's location near the unstable border regions of Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Djibouti presents additional dangers from bandit activity and occasional political unrest. Armed guards often accompany tour groups, and the extreme isolation means medical evacuations can take days. Scientists studying extremophile bacteria in the region's acidic hot springs must wear full protective gear and respirators. Yet tourists often walk within feet of the same dangerous features with minimal protection. Several visitors have died from heat stroke, dehydration, or falling through thin crusts into boiling hot springs. Yet the depression's increasing popularity as the ultimate adventure destination continues to bring more travelers each year to one of the most inhospitable environments on the planet. 10. Devil's Pool, Victoria Falls, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. At the edge of the world's largest waterfall sits a seemingly impossible natural feature, a small rocky pool where tourists can swim literally inches from where 500 million liters of water plunge 355 feet down every minute. Devil's Pool forms seasonally when the Zambezi River's flow decreases, creating a natural rock barrier that prevents swimmers from being swept over Victoria Falls. Reaching this extreme infinity pool requires crossing slippery rocks through rushing water, led by local guides who sometimes appear to take casual attitudes toward safety, encouraging tourists to hang over the edge for dramatic photos while holding only their ankles. While official statistics aren't released, local reports suggest at least a dozen people have died at Devil's Pool and similar swimming spots near the fall's edge. Most fatalities occur when visitors attempt to reach the pool without guides, during high water season when the protective lip is submerged, or when slipping on the treacherous approach. Crocodiles and hippos, both capable of fatal attacks, inhabit the Zambezi River above the falls, requiring constant vigilance from guides. Despite these dangers, each dry season, September to December, brings thousands of thrill seekers eager to experience what's marketed as the ultimate infinity pool. Even as they watch rainbow-colored mist rising from what local people have named the smoke that thunders below their dangling feet. 9. Death Road, Yungas Road, Bolivia. Known officially as North Yungas Road, but more commonly as Death Road, this infamous 43-mile stretch between La Paz and Coroico earned its grim nickname by claiming an estimated 200 to 300 lives annually during its heyday as Bolivia's main transportation route. Carved into sheer cliff faces in the 1930s, the road is often barely 10 feet wide, with no guardrails protecting vehicles from drops exceeding 2,000 feet. Frequent rain, dense fog, waterfalls crossing the roadway, and unstable terrain due to landslides create permanently hazardous conditions that have sent countless vehicles and their passengers into the abyss below. Ironically, the construction of a modern alternative highway in 2006 transformed Death Road from a necessary evil into an adventure tourism destination. Today, approximately 25,000 mountain bikers hurtle down its unpaved surface each year, with speeds reaching 40 miles per hour on sections featuring loose gravel, blind corners, and oncoming local traffic that still uses portions of the route. While professional tour operators provide safety equipment, about 20 cyclists have died since tourism began, usually from losing control on hairpin turns or misjudging the road's edge in poor visibility. Roadside memorials and visible wreckage of vehicles that plunged over the edge serve as sobering reminders of the road's deadly history, yet paradoxically make it an even more popular attraction for those seeking extreme experiences. 8. El Caminito del Rey, Spain. Originally built in the early 1900s to provide workers access to hydroelectric power plants, El Caminito del Rey, the King's Little Pathway, gained international notoriety as the world's most dangerous walkway. During the decades it was abandoned to deterioration. This 3-foot-wide concrete path clings to vertical limestone cliffs 330 feet above the Guadalhorce River in southern Spain. And by the early 2000s, large sections had completely collapsed, forcing daredevils to balance on the remaining steel support beams or clip into a thin wire running alongside the path. Between 1999 and 2015, at least 5 people died attempting to cross the crumbling structure, finally prompting Spanish authorities to close it completely. After a €5.5 million renovation completed in 2015, the pathway reopened with new safety features, including sturdy walkways, handrails, and mandatory helmets. While significantly safer, the current experience still intimidates many visitors, particularly along sections where the path consists of a glass-floored walkway suspended from vertical cliffs with nothing but air beneath. Despite safety improvements, emergency evacuations still occur regularly for panic attacks, medical emergencies, and injuries from falling rocks, or during strong winds that cause the walkway to sway unnervingly. Interestingly, many adventure tourists express disappointment about the improved safety measures, claiming the pathway lost its thrill factor, a sentiment that speaks volumes about the psychology of danger tourism. 7. Kawah Ijen Volcano, Indonesia. Deep within the crater of East Java's Kawah Ijen volcano lies one of Earth's most mesmerizing yet dangerous phenomena, the world's largest acid lake. With water so caustic, it can dissolve metal and human flesh within minutes. The turquoise lake has a pH of nearly 0, similar to battery acid, and emits constant clouds of sulfuric gas that condense into liquid sulfur, which bizarrely ignites into blue flames visible only at night. Tourism here overlaps with one of the world's most hazardous occupations, as local miners extract sulfur blocks from the crater by hand, carrying up to 200 pounds up steep terrain through toxic fumes, earning just a few dollars per trip. Tourists hiking to witness the blue flames and otherworldly lake must navigate steep, unstable terrain in darkness, wearing only basic gas masks that provide limited protection against sulfur dioxide concentrations that can reach lethal levels when wind directions change suddenly. Prolonged exposure causes respiratory damage, eye burns, and potential asphyxiation, with several tourists and miners requiring emergency medical evacuation each year. Despite clearly documented health risks, visitor numbers increase annually, drawn by stunning photographs of the electric blue flames against the night sky. Most concerning to scientists is the volcano's active status. While currently stable, Kawah Ijen has a history of phreatic, steam-driven eruptions that occur with little warning and could trap hundreds of visitors in the crater with no quick escape route. 6. Darvaza Gas Crater, Door to Hell, Turkmenistan. In the middle of Turkmenistan's remote Karakum Desert burns a spectacle so apocalyptic it seems supernatural, a 230-foot wide crater of fire that has burned continuously for over 50 years. Created accidentally in 1971, when Soviet geologists drilling for natural gas hit a massive underground cavern that collapsed. Swallowing their equipment, the Darvaza crater was intentionally set ablaze to prevent methane from spreading into nearby villages. Engineers expected the gas to burn off in a few weeks. 5 decades later, the inferno shows no signs of extinguishing, drawing adventurous tourists to one of Earth's most bizarre and dangerous attractions. Reaching the door to hell requires a challenging journey across desert terrain with extreme temperature fluctuations, from over 120 degrees Fahrenheit during summer days to below freezing at night, with virtually no infrastructure for emergencies. The crater itself presents immediate dangers. Its edge is unstable and constantly eroding, with no barriers preventing visitors from falling into the flames below. Toxic gases including carbon monoxide and hydrogen sulfide surround the site, causing dizziness, confusion, and potential asphyxiation with prolonged exposure, especially dangerous when experienced far from medical facilities. Despite these hazards and the Turkmenistan government's notoriously complicated tourist visa process, hundreds make the pilgrimage annually to camp beside what resembles a biblical vision of hell burning in the darkness of one of the world's least visited countries. 5. Angel's Landing, Zion National Park, USA. With its final half mile consisting of a narrow sandstone ridge with 1,000-foot drops on both sides, Angel's Landing has earned its reputation as one of America's most deadly hiking trails, claiming at least 15 lives since 2004. The trail's most dangerous section features only a chain bolted into the rock as a handhold, with sections where the path narrows to just a few feet wide with nothing to prevent a fall, except a hiker's own balance and nerve. Even experienced hikers describe feeling vertigo on exposed sections, where a single misstep means certain death, especially when encountering other hikers trying to pass in opposite directions on the narrow ridge. What makes Angel's Landing particularly dangerous is its accessibility and popularity. Located in one of America's most visited national parks, the trail's beginning appears deceptively straightforward, leading many unprepared tourists to attempt it in inappropriate footwear, without enough water, or with young children. Weather compounds the danger. Sudden rainstorms turn the sandstone slippery, and strong winds on the exposed ridge have literally blown hikers off balance. Despite prominent warning signs featuring skull and crossbones imagery and explicit mentions of deaths, over 1,000 people attempt the hike daily during peak season. In 2022, the National Park Service implemented a permit lottery system, not primarily for safety, but to reduce soul-crushing congestion on the dangerous sections where hikers must pass each other inches from lethal drops. 4. Mount Merapi, Indonesia. Towering over central Java, Mount Merapi isn't just an active volcano. It's Indonesia's most active volcano and among the world's most dangerous. Its name literally translates to Fire Mountain, and with over 30 major eruptions since 1548, it has lived up to this ominous title repeatedly. Despite being in near constant eruption and having killed more than 1,700 people in just the past 100 years, Merapi draws thousands of tourists annually who climb to viewpoints overlooking its smoldering crater. The 2010 eruption was particularly catastrophic, ejecting ash 18,000 feet into the atmosphere and creating pyroclastic flows, superheated clouds of gas and rock moving at hurricane speeds that obliterated entire villages. What makes tourism at Merapi particularly risky is the volcano's unpredictable eruption pattern and the difficulty of rapid evacuation from its slopes. Local guides, often driven by economic necessity, sometimes lead groups beyond official safety zones to offer better views or more thrilling experiences. Many tourists don't realize that beyond dramatic lava displays, Merapi's deadliest threats are invisible. Toxic gases that can asphyxiate without warning, and accumulations of ash that can collapse roofs or cause fatal respiratory problems. Despite repeated warnings from Indonesia's volcano monitoring system and clearly marked exclusion zones, both tourists and local residents frequently ignore evacuation orders, believing traditional spiritual protections will save them, or simply underestimating the volcano's destructive power until it's too late to escape. 3. Snake Island, Ilha da Queimada Grande, Brazil. Approximately 90 miles off the coast of São Paulo, lies an island so dangerous the Brazilian government has made it illegal for anyone to visit without special permission. Snake Island earned its ominous nickname honestly. It hosts between 1 and 5 golden lancehead vipers per square meter, among the world's deadliest snakes, with venom capable of melting human flesh and causing death within hours. Scientists estimate between 2,000 and 4,000 of these critically endangered snakes inhabit the 110-acre island, evolving in isolation with particularly potent venom to quickly kill the migratory birds that are their only prey on this predator-dominated ecosystem. The island's lighthouse has been automated since the 1920s, after the last lighthouse keeper reportedly died when snakes entered his home through windows. One of many local legends surrounding this forbidden place. Today, only select Brazilian Navy personnel and scientific researchers with extensive safety protocols are permitted to land. Despite strict prohibitions and the obvious dangers, the island faces threats from illegal wildlife traffickers who risk death to capture golden lanceheads for the black market, where collectors reportedly pay up to $30,000 per snake. The Brazilian Navy patrols the water surrounding the island, not primarily to protect potential visitors from the snakes, but to protect the snakes from humans who would disturb this unique and terrifying natural laboratory, where evolution has created one of the world's most densely venomous places. 2. Running of the Bulls, Pamplona, Spain. Every July, the normally quiet streets of Pamplona transform into a chaotic half-mile gauntlet, where 6 fighting bulls weighing up to 1,500 pounds each charge through narrow medieval streets alongside thousands of thrill-seeking participants. This centuries-old tradition, made globally famous by Ernest Hemingway's The Sun Also Rises, draws approximately 1 million spectators annually to watch what amounts to a deliberately engineered disaster, releasing powerful animals bred specifically for aggression into crowds of often intoxicated tourists, with no experience around large animals, let alone those selected for their fighting spirit. Since record-keeping began in 1910, at least 16 runners have died during the event, mostly from being gored, with the most recent fatality in 2009. Yet these statistics drastically underrepresent the danger, as hundreds are injured every year, many seriously. The most common injuries occur not from the bulls themselves, but from the mass of falling human bodies, creating dangerous pileups in the narrow streets. Critics note that the morning runs are just the beginning of these bulls' final day. They will die in the bull ring that evening, raising ethical concerns beyond just the human injuries. Despite growing controversy and animal rights protests, Pamplona's economy depends heavily on the festival, and local officials maintain that participants knowingly accept the clearly stated risks of what remains one of the world's most accessible yet genuinely life-threatening tourist experiences. 1. Mount Huashan, Plank Walk, China. Arguably the world's most terrifying trail, the Plank Walk on China's sacred Mount Huashan consists of wooden boards bolted into a sheer cliff face with a 7,000-foot drop to the valley below. Participants clip into a simple safety harness attached to a single chain and edge sideways along boards sometimes narrower than their own feet, with nothing but open air beneath them. At certain points, the only way forward is to cling to metal stakes driven into the rock while searching for the next foothold. Before harnesses became mandatory in recent years, this infamous path claimed numerous lives annually, though exact death statistics remain closely guarded by Chinese authorities concerned about tourism impact. What makes the Mount Huashan experience uniquely dangerous is the combination of extreme exposure and overwhelming crowds during peak periods. The mountain hosts 5 peaks representing the 5 elements in Chinese cosmology, making it spiritually significant and immensely popular with domestic tourists. This creates dangerous congestion on the Plank Walk, where passing others requires intricate and terrifying maneuvers as harnesses must be unclipped and reclipped around oncoming traffic, all while maintaining balance on tiny footholds. Although rarely publicized, equipment failures have occurred, with worn or improperly maintained harnesses providing a false sense of security. Despite the obvious dangers, tens of thousands complete this harrowing journey annually, motivated by a combination of spiritual devotion, cultural significance, and increasingly, social media prestige from documenting one of the world's most photogenic brushes with death. These 20 locations represent the extremes of what humans willingly subject themselves to. Yet for every publicized death at these famous spots, many more occur at seemingly innocent tourist destinations. The psychology behind danger tourism raises questions about whether we're driven by ancient survival instincts or simply pursuing stories worth telling in a social media landscape. Nature's most spectacular views often come with the highest price tags, measured not in dollars, but in risk. The question isn't whether these places will claim more lives, they will, but whether knowing the dangers, you would still choose to go. If you enjoyed this video, click on the video on screen now to learn more Did You Know facts.